How you doing?
Good, brother. Good. Just chilling here.
Nice.
Got my last one for today. You know how that's like.
4th of July, still working, buddy?
I have to, man. This is like my favorite holiday. This is the one I'm usually always with my family. We do big barbecues. We get a ton of fireworks, and we just can spend all day celebrating the country, you know. But today's a little different, you know.
Yeah, of course. You got business on Saturday, as you say. Final week of camp, man. I miss it, but I don't miss it because the final week of camp, you are so happy to be done with that shit. How's training camp been?
It's been a journey, brother. I'm sure you've had fights get pushed back like numerous times, and this one got pushed from like April to June to now finally July 6th. So I'm just days away from the fight. So it's been a long camp. The whole time I kept my foot on the gas pedal. I went out to Vegas to just get with boxing camp, boxing program, and just do the boxing thing from when I wake up till I go to sleep. Just be around that boxing vibe environment and just do what the boxers do, you know. So I try to get myself in the best possible shape boxing wise, you know, because as you know, it's different, you know, how we stand, how we, you know, throw the punches and generate the power. It's a little different than boxing because we got to block kicks, you know, we got to stuff takedowns, so we can't quite stand like a boxer, you know. So I wanted to learn everything from the ground up. All the things that I've been doing right, you know, I let my coaches decide what works and doesn't in boxing. All the things that just weren't needed for the boxing, we kind of got it out of there. So I feel like though at first I was upset as hell that the fight kept getting pushed back. Through the process, though, I was just learning more of the trade and just sharpening my tools and getting to know the craft a little bit better. So I could honestly say that I feel great right now, man. Weight-wise, shape-wise, and in boxing, I've learned the most I've ever learned in boxing these last 6 months.
So since we last spoke, Jorge, that was when the fight just got announced shortly after that. And as you say, it has been pushed back a few times. What were the reasons for that? I know one time it was on UFC 302. Was it venue complications, or because I saw an interview where you were saying that Diaz wasn't necessarily being the best partner?
Yeah, you know, we're getting a lot of, I guess, kickback from them. They didn't want to switch the date, and it was like, bro, it's a fucking no-brainer. You stupid or what? You know, you call yourself a promoter, but you're trying to go against the brand that it's not only the UFC. Let's say me and him were just straight boxers, right? It's like you're going up against the UFC one, but making that more hurtful is that me and you come from the UFC. Dumbass, like our fan base is the UFC, you know? And yeah, well, you know, real fans get both fights because they love combat and they're gonna watch everything that's on. Yeah, but there's a lot of buys that we're gonna miss up. So I'm just glad that we didn't go on that day. And I was pushing from the start of it, like, let's never compete against the UFC. Like, that's the stupidest shit ever. I don't care if it's one of their free cards, just don't do it. You know, there's got to be dates that are available that we can go when the UFC's not up, or completely switch the date. We go on a Friday or something, because me personally, I don't want to go up against the UFC. You know, I'm trying to sell pay-per-views.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it's allowed more excitement to build because every time you guys have got together, there's been some kind of drama. I saw one of the press conferences, he walked off the stage and you were like, what the fuck are you doing? Then you guys, there was that brawl. Talk to me about all that type of stuff, Jorge. What the fuck's been going on?
That shit just pisses me off. You know, one of them, I think the one that he walked off was, I flew all the way from Miami to LA to get the fucking, you know, the face off, to get the picture. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so we're supposed to do this face off. Then all of a sudden he calls it off like, motherfucker, you swear I want to fly all the way from Miami, be away from my family, and look at your fucking stupid face. Like, you fucking swear I want to do that. But I do want to sell pay-per-views. I do want to fucking promote this fight. You know, that's why a lot of my fucking, like, resentment and pissed offness is coming, because we're here to promote a fight and you're trying to fucking just look cool and be real, and I'm too cool for this. Bro, if you're too cool for this, why'd you ever sign up for fucking fighting in the first place? Because face-offs are part of fighting. I don't want to do them any either. I don't want to stare no motherfucker for 2 minutes in the face. But it's part of the business. We signed the contract doing it. We both knew about the press tour before it happened, you know. So it's fucking nuts. And then again, you know, he pulls a stunt at this Brawl, you know. He says the face off, this and that. So I'm like, all right, we're talking back and forth. And then he says, fight me here. And I'm kind of like, all right, I'm making my way towards him. Like, bro, if you really want to throw down here, I've had just about enough. We can fight now. You know, this fight's gotten pushed back so much. Okay, bro, we'll give the audience something to look at. And he takes off, right? And then as he's taking off, I'm kind of like talking shit, and out of nowhere, some of his friends, some really a very stupid guy comes and just shoves me, you know, and as hard as he can, and then he takes off running like the most coward shit I've seen, you know, and then two guys attack my coach, which he's not a pro fighter, which he's like in his mid-40s, you know. It's like, bro, you attack that guy out of all the fucking people. And it was two guys that had him on the ground. They're about to fucking end him. So I had to fucking step in there and you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that's it, you know. And they got broken up after that. But to me, it's like coward shit. Like, you're going to attack my coach. I'm right here, bro. Why don't you guys, your one guy pushed me and ran off. And then on top of that, Nate started this whole fucking brawl. And like a coward general took off. Like, oh, yeah, these are my troops, but I'm going to take off after this. And a couple of his friends went to the hospital that day because of it, you know, and that's all on him, bro. Like, none of that needed to happen, you know?
Well, one thing is for certain, you guys are going to fight Saturday. Before we go any further, where do people watch the fight, Jorge? Just give the details on the pay-per-view and all that good stuff.
Fanmio is the place to watch him at. Also, UFC Fight Pass. Don't miss out. And DAZN. We got 3 places for you. Fanmio, UFC pay-per-view, Fight Pass, and DAZN.
See, that's why
to miss out.
That's why I asked you, because I looked it up and it said Fight Pass. Then I looked it up, it said DAZN, and then I saw Fanmio. So you're on 3 different outlets. That's amazing, Jorge. Congrats. And of course, goes down at the Honda Center, Anaheim, California, just down the street from me, brother. I'm going to be there on Saturday. Talking about the fight. He said going into the first fight for the BMF belt way back in 2019 that he was fucked up going into that fight, that he had a torn meniscus. What do you make of that?
I heard it was his ankle before and this and that. I mean, I don't doubt that he had a torn this or torn that, because I wasn't in 100% health that year either. I'd had 2 fights just prior to that fight. My hands were destroyed. I've torn my meniscus on just my right knee like 3 different times, you know, and on my left another 2 or 3 different times, and all from wrestling practice. Every single time it's happened has been like in wrestling practice. And some of those have happened 2 weeks, 3 weeks before a fight. So was he hurt? Yeah, possibly. But how many times have you gone into a fight, Mike, all up? You know, how many times have I? I mean, it's a fight game. So if it was for him, cool, you know. And you know, we'll get to see how much that meniscus would have or would have not done now anything on July 6th. I just don't want to hear excuses after, because we both had a long camp, knowing how long this training camp has been. Like, you better just come in shape and ready to go for this one, you know?
Yeah, so what are you expecting from Diaz? I mean, of course, you always expect the best version, right? In your mind, you're not going to underestimate anybody. But I think most people would agree, when he fought Jake Paul, that wasn't really a good showing. You know what I'm saying?
No.
What did you make of that?
To me, I always said it, and he got offended when I said it, but I'm going to call a spade and a bitch. You know, it looked like he just got out of the couch 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, and started hitting some pads and smoking weed. And like, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. He's a fucking Disney World guy. I'm 209. He looked like shit, you know? I'm hoping that he got himself ready at least for like 2-3 rounds, because I'm in shape, man. I'm ready to go. I've been nothing but dedicated to this craft of boxing for the last 6 months. I've been in Vegas since January. If he's not in shape, it's going to show real quick, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So what do you think? Because when I look at the fight, and it's not just because I'm talking to you now, the first fight, there was a little bit of grappling, but it was essentially a boxing match with 4-ounce gloves on. And we all know how that ended. So I think you're going to have a pretty easy night. But what's your prediction for everybody watching here?
That beautiful science of boxing, you know? I really, man, I can't stress it enough. I really took to the craft, man. Like a fish in water, you know. At first, the first 2 months were a little bumpy, as I was getting these new ideas and how to stand and how to move and stuff. But after some certain point, it really started working real well with me, you know. And out of all the I've always said this in numerous interviews, out of martial arts, out of all the arts in MMA, boxing's the one that, not easy, but came most natural to me. The one that I could understand the concepts better, perform it, bring it to practice faster than all the other stuff like jiu-jitsu or wrestling would took me a lifetime really to do it, you know. And always in my camps, they were predominantly 60% grappling, anti-grappling, defensive grappling, and the rest was spent on my striking, you know. So now that I got to do full striking, I feel that I've cut the corner in several punches, and maybe back in the day I wasn't the best at throwing them. Now I've had time from Monday through Saturday just to throw these punches, you know, just to throw these combinations, these setups, these traps that I could lay in boxing. And man, I think I'm gonna put on a masterpiece, and I'm gonna knock this motherfucker dead, you know. I'm gonna box his ears off, and then at some point he's gonna make a mistake, and I'm gonna cash in on that mistake.
Nice, nice. Looking forward to it. So when you get done with this, Jorge, more boxing matches? Because if I'm managing
Yes,
you, I'm thinking Darren Till, Mike Perry, Jake Paul. I mean, there's a lot of people, of course, in the actual proper boxing world as well, but there's some fun fights right off the top of my head.
I'm thinking Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh.
That's what my people are thinking. That's what we're trying to do. And those matches that you mentioned right there, great fighters. They're great fighters. So I wouldn't mind those matches as well, however they came. I think I've always not looked up because he's a little younger than me, but I've always liked Mike Perry's style since he got into the UFC. And he's a hell of a dog. And then he had some good performances, was getting better in the MMA, but then the UFC cut him, and then he went into bare knuckle, which is fucking wild as and he did his thing, man. He's beating some really good guys up, and he's just showed that he's a fucking dog through and through. So that'd be a fucking huge fight to make in the future. Darren told me him already got a scrap, and it was a hell of a scrap. I think that Till's been focusing more and more straight on the boxing, so I wouldn't mind going back to England and fucking running it again over there, But I signed the deal for 3 fights. That the UFC, for the first time, they let somebody go for like 3 fights on a multi-deal like that. So I want to get the biggest fights possible, So I wouldn't mind a fight with Logan and just breaking all the pay-per-view records and having more time to box, get my hands really cemented in this boxing stuff and learn the craft more, and then go after Mayweather,
Right, so let me clarify that, Jorge. So you're still technically under contract with the UFC.
Yeah.
They've allowed you to go and do 3 fights.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
sir.
awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
So after these 3 fights, back to the UFC or you kind
back
of
to UFC. Back to UFC. They said one of the conditions that I come back and do 1 fight for them in the UFC. So that's the plan. Come back, definitely do another fight, and then from there check the landscape out, see if I'm staying in the UFC, or more than likely I'll be coming back to boxing, man, and just getting the biggest fucking matchups I possibly can in boxing.
What do you think of the welterweight division right now in the UFC? Obviously, Leon Edwards, he's the champ. That'd be a friendly style matchup for you. You've got Garry out there. He's kind of ruffling some feathers and pissing a lot of people off. What do you make of the welterweight division right now?
It's lacking something, man. That's something that is your boy right here. Being in tip-top shape, being violent, and putting on some fucking great fights. I haven't liked my last couple performances, so being in boxing and just doing the boxing grind right now, it's not to take anything from boxing, but the grind is different. Certain injuries that I've had, I've only gotten to rehab and nurse them a little better now, instead of getting in there in wrestling practice and you already got like the back or neck and it's just getting aggravated more, and then you're fighting a wrestler, so you're wrestling every day, maybe twice a day, and it's kind of tough in MMA. The grind is different. So just doing this boxing for so long, I've gotten in really, really good shape and just rehabbed a lot of my injuries that I've had before in the past. So I'm eager to get back also as well in MMA when I do it about a year from now, and just give them to me, man. I'm gonna eat these motherfuckers up like tacos. Just put them in front of me and I'm gonna fucking lay some people out. I'm excited to get back in the division. I don't see a lot of these top guys. Some of them are good, man, but I don't see nothing that I couldn't take on, and do very well. And I would love to fight Leon. Hopefully he still has the belt when I come back around. Let's see what happens, man.
I mean, if you have 3 big wins in the boxing world, raise the profile, make some money, come back, nothing but big fights. You were talking there about prepping for a boxing fight, and I totally hear what you're saying. As I'm sitting here, my neck's fucked, my knees are fucked, my back's fucked, all the rest of it, and that all comes from wrestling. Now, I'm not saying boxing is an easier sport, because it's not. It's a fucking savage sport, and it's deadly, and the consequences are higher. But preparing for a boxing fight, way easier on the body, right?
Yeah, no, that I've done 100 interviews of people asking me what's the main difference between the training camp, and nobody would understand better than you. I think, and I stand by this, that there's no more of a demanding grind in the world than MMA. There just isn't. You're gonna get up Monday, you're gonna go run 2-3 miles, and then you're gonna go to wrestling practice for 2 hours, and then at night you're gonna do some pads followed by a little bit of strength and conditioning. You're gonna go to sleep Tuesday morning. You're gonna spar, and so-and-so's gonna kick you in the fucking knee, and your knee's gonna be like minor tear, but you're still pushing through and you do your whole thing, and then you're gonna go tonight to jiu-jitsu class, and the next fucking heel hook master didn't know you had that already tweaked, and fucking there goes a heel hook on that bad knee, and you gotta push through all that, and you still got strength and conditioning, 3 more sessions that week, you still got sparring, you still got all that. So the grind on the overall body, there's nothing like that in MMA. Not football, basketball, there's nothing like the MMA grind. boxing, like you said, it's not to take anything away, because at the end of the day, it's just more dangerous, right? Because there's only two things you can hit in the body: the head of the body, and there's no grappling, there's no choking, there's none of that stuff. So they obviously take a lot of abuse. But the overall grind on the body, it's different. I run Monday through Saturday, which is something I didn't do in MMA. I would run maybe 3 times a week in MMA. When I was at 55, I would run a lot more because of my weight. But when I was at 70, I would run 3 to 4 times a week max. Every day we run in boxing. Monday through Saturday I run. So the grind it's not that it's easy, but it's just a different grind, you know. But I'm not getting kicked on my fucking knee. I'm not tearing shit out of place because of wrestling and then having to do all these demanding things. So the overall grind in boxing is a lot lighter than the load in MMA, because MMA is just fucking, you got to lift weights, you got to be strong, you got to be fast, you got to be explosive. A lot of the boxes are strength and conditioning is, and now that I've got to see a lot of them around, it's more dynamic. It's more like move small weight as quick as you can, and maybe lots of reps and a lot of running, a lot of running up mountains for fucking 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is they're doing. But as far as like pushing weight, they don't do that so much, and I get it why, because they don't really have to. You don't have to throw a hard punch. You don't have to be able to, you know, squat 500 pounds and things like that. As in MMA, we need it. You need to be as strong as you possibly can to deal with these motherfuckers. You know? Yeah,
you haven't got some Russian fucking crazy wrestler pinning you down and holding you up against the fence and smothering you, sniffing your balls, all that stuff.
Sniffing them balls, man. You gotta get these crotch sniffers. You know how they are, man. They want to fucking sniff away. You know, so you gotta be able to fucking bop, explode, get away. It's a different grind, man.
A win's a win. They do what they got to do. 39, Jorge. How is the body feeling these days?
Right now, it feels amazing, brother. If you asked me this question about a year ago for my last like 2 fights, my answer would have been the same, just as yours. My neck's on my knees, on my back. But I've really gotten. As also I got older, I started understanding I need to rehab like a motherfucker. My rehab only used to be sauna and cold tub when I was in MMA. That's it. Something that I did a lot of, but that was my only rehab. If I tore something or something was completely bad, maybe I got some massage therapists to work with me. But that's always been my go-to, just rehab and sauna. For this last camp, I've added so much rehab, but not just on like a particular day, but like every day, you know. So maybe like a good hour and a half to 2 hours every day of just working on whatever is wrong or could be wrong. And my body has held up for this camp like amazing. And like we both just said, I didn't have this crazy grind of people sprawling on my fucking neck and this getting dislocated and all that stuff, and then just that compounding and staying like that. So it's been a different grind. Not that I haven't had any injuries or gone through some painful moments in the boxing camp, but it's my body's pretty fucking good right now. I could definitely do this for another 3-4 years, the boxing grind, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy because I speak to a lot of young fighters, and these youngsters, they come up to me and say, have you got any advice? And I give them the most boring answer. And I'm like, dude, work on your mobility and make sure you fucking stretch afterwards. Because I never stretched throughout my career. I'd finish my training session, straight out the gym, eat my food, go to sleep. And now I can fucking hardly walk, you know what I mean? So I'm like, stretch. And they're like, that's it? That's the best advice. I'm like, dude, you got to fucking work hard. If you want to do this, you got to work your ass off, but make sure you look after your body. Jorge, got to ask about what happened at the last press conference with this neon guy.
When you do get knocked out, are you going to retire?
Who said that? So I know who you are.
I'm sorry.
I saw footage of him getting chased by Diaz's crew. He's talking shit. Was he a plant? Was he a Jorge Masvidal plant? That's the rumor online.
Wasn't a plant for me. I know the kid. I got to meet him. I think he's a fucking interesting character, crazy motherfucker. The little crazy dude is crazy because, you know, to do that and this guy's there with all his fucking people just looking for problems to start, you know, it's fucking troll of the year, man. Guy does not give a fuck, that little guy. And he's like 90 pounds. I met him. You know, he's like 90 pounds, but that wasn't like a setup for me or nothing. You know, that was his own craziness, bro.
Did they get their hands on him?
I saw a video of him because after everybody was like sending me the video, like, yo, you got to check this out. And I don't know who it was from Diaz's crew that chased after him. A couple guys chased after him, and this guy took off on a fucking 100-yard dash, and he had security guards as well there with him. So they all took off with him, and nobody touched him from what I saw in the video, because like 20 minutes later, he was going live on streams, fucking, whoa, shaking, looking like fucking, he sniffed too much coke or something. He's fucking wigged out, you know?
Hey, he got the views that he was looking for. Simple as that. We're talking about it now. So Saturday night, fanmio, dazn, Fight Pass. That is where we can check it out. Diaz versus Masvidal 2. Last man standing. I can't fucking wait. I'm going to be there. Final question, Jorge, then I'll let you go. Look at the road you've been on. Look at where you're standing now as a young kid. I saw an interview with you the other day when Kimbo Slice was giving you a little bit of advice and he used to take you under your wing. Talk to me about this journey that you've been on from being a youngster, from being a scrapper in the backyard brawls to all the way through your UFC career to now, Money in the Bank, you know, a great platform. You know what I mean? Fighting as a profession, as a lifestyle has really changed your life. Just talk to me about that a little bit and then a message for the youngsters.
Man, for me personally, since a young age, I didn't really like my surroundings or in my upbringing was a little bit troubled. So right when I knew, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And man, it's just like I don't, you know, jiu-jitsu gym, especially back then, were like $300 a month. I can't pay that shit. Who the and you need to go weightlifting gym another $100. Like just money wise, it was out of the picture for me. Like I can't even afford this, you know. So I got down on my knees and I prayed to God. I prayed Jesus to bless me on my road. And as soon as I did that, and I just gave myself to my Lord and Savior, God blessed me all through that. Shortly after, I was in the Kimbo Slice backyards, getting millions of views when they dropped those videos. And my success didn't come overnight, you know, but God always gave me enough and provided for me enough. There was a lot of times I skipped meals, but when I was about to break, God would always provide. So in my particular case, for my whole career, as I've always said, I give everything to Jesus, to God, because that's how I got here. Especially from where I started. Looking back, I was like, damn, there was a lot of times where the situation had no equation. You know, like there was no way getting out of certain situations, and God just provided for me. So that's been my journey, and always pushing through. And then aside from that, knowing that God is with me, it's always giving me this extra confidence. Like I fear no man, brother. You know, I might lose, I might take a loss, but I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get better at it, and I might lose on some technical shit or strategy shit, but as far as the heart goes, I'm never gonna quit, I'm never gonna stop. And having that mentality, I think, is what was guiding me over the hump, was guiding me to cut the corner and keep pushing. You know, I wasn't a known fighter coming up, so a lot of fights that I took, I would fight anybody in their hometown, their home country, their home state, and that led to a lot of split decision losses that a lot of people don't feel that I lost, you know. But in taking those losses, that only pushes you back more and more, you know. And I could have easily broke those times, but I never broke. I kept my fucking faith strong. I kept my faith in God, kept my faith in myself, and not let anybody break me, you know. And when these challenges came and I finally got the opportunity to fight top-ranked guys in the UFC, I was more than ready, more than prepared to put on a show and take those guys out and claim what's rightfully mine, you know.
Yep. Well, congrats on everything, Jorge. Truly mean that. Best of luck Saturday night. DAZN, fanmio, Fight Pass. Check it out. Last man standing. Diaz versus Masvidal 2. Jorge, thanks for your time. Good luck at the weigh-ins. Good luck in the fight. Whoop some ass, and I'll talk to you soon.
God bless, brother. I'll see you over there, my brother.
I'll see you there, buddy. I'll be there Saturday night. Take care, Jorge.